According to Joe Biden, only a Neanderthal would lift COVID restrictions on Americans.
I started the Neanderthal caucus because Neanderthals are hunter-gatherers. They're protectors of their family. They are resilient. They're resourceful. They tend to their own.
I can't believe that Joe Biden has the nerve to call these great Americans Neanderthals. But also, calling them Neanderthals is actually a compliment. So apologize, Joe Biden, but also thank you. But how dare you? But also, you're so sweet. Resign, my best friend. This is just disgusting, people. Not only did Joe Biden call Republicans the N-word, but he forced them to acknowledge evolution. That is the worst thing you can do to a Republican.
TV10 podcast, episode 0357 here, coming to you from the TV10 studios. And on the line is, I believe, correspondent Tommy Milagro.
That's right. I am still in my cardboard box of shame, and oh my God, it is getting waterlogged, so I might have to go for a double wide, so a refrigerator box is needed at this point.
Hey, spring is coming.
Walls are closing in.
And I'm Bill Frost over here, and we have a special guest. Tommy, take it away. Who is our special guest?
Well, I'm going to introduce our mystery guest here, and she's well known for working at slamwrestling.net, which, did you know, as a writer for slamwrestling.net with my MBA degree that...
Let me get these shots out of the way here. Okay.
Oh, that's right. You are drinking heavily, ladies and gentlemen. But please, Mr. Guest, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jamie Hemmings, and I am the book editor for slamwrestling.net. If I say my degree, do you have to take a shot?
Might as well.
Depends. How fancy is your degree? Which
It is
I know
a Bachelor's of Arts in Journalism.
Judges, we need a ruling?
Yeah. We'll allow it. I studied for that. I studied for that once. I didn't quite make it, so I can't take a shot for myself.
Well, to be fair, Bill, you've taken many a shot at that other weekly so many years ago. So, it's sort of catching up at this point.
So, book editor, what exactly does that mean? What does that terminology mean?
So that means any wrestling books that come out, either I read and review them, or because I can't do them all by myself because there's so many coming out now, especially with self-publishing, I assign them to great writers like Tommy.
All right.
Yeah.
About how many... there's a lot of wrestling books? Is there this recent trend of a lot of wrestling books coming out, or is this just a steady flow all the time?
I don't know if it's been a steady flow all the time. Like, we go back to one of the first ones I read was Mick Foley's Have a Nice Day.
No.
But with self-publishing becoming more prevalent now, it's definitely like, I'm told like even weekly I hear about a new book.
Oh, wow.
And I want to try and cover them all. So even if they came out last year or something, I'm trying to access those ones if we don't have them on the site yet.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the best one you've come across so far?
Well, I think the Mick Foley is pretty hard to beat, but one that people don't know as much that I really like and want to get some love out there for it, it's called Unladylike by Heather Von Vandenberg, and it's she just kind of stumbled into wrestling accidentally. It's kind of like what I think if I tried to wrestle, except I have some wrestling knowledge, like about the history and that, where she didn't even have that. Like she didn't know who like the Undertaker was or anything like that. And yet, she fell in love with wrestling, and this book is her memoir. It's also a feminist romp, and also talks about the things that are problematic in wrestling, like stereotypes, and sometimes male fans like to gatekeep against the female fans and things like that. Like it's a really great read. And again, that's Unladylike by Heather Von Vandenberg.
Okay, cool. What's the worst one you've read?
I wasn't a big fan of the Lex Luger one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. He wrote one?
Well, I think he had some help. I don't think he sat at the typewriter, I almost said, and that's how old I am, the computer. You know how he was the narcissist character in the WWE?
Yeah.
That's my description of it. It's just someone very narcissist, and everything that went wrong in his life, there's someone else to blame.
Oh.
Now, he's gone through a lot. He's going to be on the Icons show on the WWE Network. That hasn't aired yet, but maybe he's become more humble since the book came out. I don't know. But he seemed to blame everybody except himself.
When was that book published, Jamie? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know offhand.
The reason I'm asking is because, it's probably ghost-written. Most books are nowadays, unless you're the gold standard, that is Mick Foley. And B, from what you're describing to me, it sounds like it was during a time somewhere between before Miss Elizabeth kicked off and after, or before he found Jeebus.
She was already dead when he wrote this.
Oh, okay. Then definitely before he found Jeebus. So.
Yeah, I think, I'm looking it up quick here. See if I can give you a date. Sorry, I'm right at my desk. August 13th, 2013.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Long before he found Jeebus. So thank God we don't need to find Jeebus here at TV10 Podcast, because that's how we segue here. We have great sponsors like Sugar House Distillery. Unfortunately, I went on a run of booze with our producer Chola Furiosa. We were historic on the Fury Road and managed to get some booze, much needed booze, to Mr. Bill Frost. And what are you drinking, Mr. Frost?
It's the rye whiskey. Good stuff.
Now they do have a cask rye whiskey at Sugar House Distillery. This is in Sugar House District. That's South Salt Lake, or as we call it here in Utah, Jamie, East Stabbington.
Fun.
Oh, it's very stabberific. And they got some wonderful stuff. Their cask rye will be available on Monday, not as we're recording live on air, but Monday in South Salt Lake. So, if you did want a little taste, let me know. I'll see what we could work out with our good friends there.
Yeah, we are recording on Sunday, March 7th, and originally we had Harry and Meghan Markle on, but then we had the opportunity to get Jamie. We said, well, Oprah can have him. We're going this direction now. And,
right, because we're
and I think it's a better choice. I think it's a better choice.
I think we all do. We all think that. And
right.
Besides wrestling, we ask our guests on the show, what are you watching currently on the TV that you're enjoying?
Okay, well, I don't know if I'm fully enjoying this, and this is a show you guys have brought up, and you kind of described it as juicy, which is really gross, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Okay.
Because I'm talking about Allen versus Pharaoh on HBO Max, which is the Woody Allen. I don't know, I can't remember which one of you said it, but he called it juicy, and that's really disgusting.
That sounds like something I would do.
I think it's
that's tabloid speak for sure.
Like me.
That's tabloid speak for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm watching it too, and
it's gross.
Yes, it is, and
Well, I didn't know a lot about the Woody Allen Soon Yi story, like when he started having an affair with Soon Yi, happened when I was quite young, and my parents didn't watch Woody Allen movies, so I didn't realize, who's that weird guy with the glasses and going with younger women? I had no, and now I'm more familiar, but at the time I was and I remember seeing, this is kind of gross, I remember seeing a comic in a newspaper. And you know how they had the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yeah.
Well, they had a picture of Woody Allen and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids beside, it was a movie poster, but they blacked out Shrunk to make it look like, because, he did something much worse with the kid. I know, bad taste, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rick Moranis is shaking his fist at that.
Yeah, when this was initially started, I just remember it was like a blip in the headlines. It just kind of came and went. It was kind of a joke. And now this documentary, all these years later, it's like, ooh, whoa, yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
And I guess this is episode 3 tonight. It hasn't aired yet.
Yes.
But this is where we're going to get into the investigation and the legal stuff, and then there's one more episode. The last episode will be next week. So.
That's enough episodes, definitely.
Yeah. I'm glad this isn't 10 parts, because it's I'd be ordering a case of wine to finish it off.
Oh, yeah. So is there anything you're watching that doesn't make you feel disgusted?
Yes. I'm also watching Clarice.
Oh, cool.
And I really wanted to hate watch this one because I'm still bitter about the cancellation of Hannibal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Mads fan. Love Hannibal.
Yes.
But I'm really enjoying this, and I didn't think I would. I've caught up over the weekend on all the episodes, and the accent from the lead actress is a bit jarring, but I'm liking it. Like, there's some good casting in it. Hal Penn is in there from Harold and Kumar. Like, it's a good show.
Yeah, and from The Walking Dead, I'm already blanking on his name. Michael Cudlitz.
I don't watch that one.
Yeah, Michael Cudlitz.
Not
he played Abraham on The Walking Dead, and he's unless you're paying attention, he's not very recognizable now. He had a much.
Does he not have the sweet stash?
No, he's a clean cut police captain or whatever his role is. I can't remember, but he's a lot more clean cut, and you don't really recognize him. But yeah,
not even a cop stash. I'm disappointed.
I'm keeping up on that one too. Yeah, and I want to mention before we get any further, I want to mention a couple of shows that are premiering this week. You might be interested in. Well, of course, coming up on Wednesday is the South Park The Vaccination Special. It's another hour-long special from the South Park gang, and this time we're taking on QAnon, vaccinations, and all the other things that are just making your life hell, and putting that South Park spin on it. And
so it's going to be very filthy, is what it boils down.
Yeah, well, if you remember, if anyone saw the pandemic special from last year, I think we know what to expect. Yeah. And if you didn't, well, you're probably not a South Park fan. You probably should stay far away.
Is that going to be on HBO Max, both episodes, by the way?
That I don't know. This is going to be on Comedy Central. It could end up on HBO Max eventually, or it might end up on southpark.com or Comedy Central's site themselves. South Park is kind of everywhere. It's one of those shows. It's I think it's also on Hulu, and yeah, it's kind of everywhere. I also wanted to mention the Grammy Awards on Sunday only because Trevor Noah is hosting.
What?
Yeah, Trevor Noah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And here's your musical lineup. See if you recognize any of these names. I dare you.
I probably won't.
Okay, Bad Bunny.
Oh, that one we know, and Tommy's favorite.
Why?
Black Pumas, Cardi B, BTS, Doja Cat, Billie Eilish, Haim, like them. Dua Lipa, of course, because she's on everything now. Megan Thee Stallion, Utah's own Post Malone will be on here. Of course, Taylor Swift, and some other names I don't recognize, but most importantly, hosted by Trevor Noah. That's the reason to check it out.
But we should bring up here that the Grammy Awards is still failing to recognize any artist from either New Mexico or Saskatchewan. So that is just a missed opportunity here. Cancel culture, I'm telling you.
Okay, so
that's why I'm boycotting it. Because
I can't think of any big New Mexico artists we should be aware of that.
I couldn't name any.
I'm not thinking of any.
They're so obscure. Yeah.
What about Saskatchewan?
Since last March. Saskatchewan, I don't even know who we have anymore because I haven't lived in Canada for 4 years. I kind of like people from all over Canada. I was a big Katie Lang fan.
Oh yeah.
I just think she's has an incredible voice, and there's a duet they made with her of the song "Crying," and they incorporate it with Roy Orbison's voice as well because he's obviously no longer with us.
Right.
And she can hold her own with him, and I've always been impressed with Katie Lang.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And she was on the Pee Wee Herman Christmas special.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good pickup there.
Oh yeah. Also want to.
How cool is that?
Also want to mention this movie. Where is it? Oh yeah, the Russo brothers. They've finally done something after Endgame, and starring Tom Holland, but he's not Spider-Man. He's a Iraqi war vet who's struggling with opioid addiction, and it looks like the feel-good hit of the season. That's on Apple TV+. So everybody's
just to clarify, is this movie part of Bill's Movie Corner or?
No, I haven't seen it yet. It premieres on Friday on Apple TV Plus. It's called Cherry, and everybody's all excited about it because it's the Russo brothers, and it's their first thing since Avengers Endgame. And sounds like the feel-good hit of the season already. I can tell.
And Spider-Man's doing smack. So
yeah,
hey, happiness.
Why didn't they call it that? That eyeballs right away.
Bigger question. Why didn't he pair up with Zendaya in Euphoria? Or is that too real?
That's a little bit too real, yeah.
I don't know if people can handle that, yeah.
That's a bit much. It's a bit much.
That's a bit much.
And also want to bring up Murder Among the Mormons on Netflix. Watched it all 3 episodes this week, and the thing is, if you would have told people this is a 3-hour documentary, they would have said, "Oh, that's too long." But if you tell them it's 3-hour-long episodes, it's like, "Oh, that's too short." So that's the way people think anymore. And it's about the 1985 bombings over the forged White Salamander papers in Mormon literature. And it's a lot creepier than I imagined. I lived downtown in Salt Lake City when those bombs went up. The initial bomb went off. I heard it. I was like 3 blocks from there, and but I didn't know all of these details. I'd recommend it if you're a fan of Mormon weirdness, or if you're just a fan of document forging and bombings in general, and lots of 80s newscaster hair. If you like all of those things, I would recommend Murder Among the Mormons.
You had me at the newscaster hair.
Oh, man, it's such a nonstop array because it was covered very heavily here by the local news media, and they've got footage galore.
And you said it was 85?
85,
so that would have been
yeah.
like Hairspray prime time.
It's beautiful. It's like watching Anchorman. It's beautiful.
Now, I have to ask, Bill, this is only specific for Utah people. When you say newscasters galore, are we talking the silverback gorilla that is Dick Norris?
He's in there.
Is he? Okay.
He's in there.
Is he just resplendent in his?
Oh yeah.
Not quite. Okay.
Yeah, you also get some interview spots from Rod Decker, and he's not yelling too much. And people who have lived in Salt Lake City for a while will recognize some of these newscasters from the 80s. It's pretty funny.
I can't believe Tommy said resplendent.
Resplendent.
That's like a $50 word there, Tommy.
Well, he does have an MBA. Drink.
Oh, right.
Drink. I'm trying to pace it out here. But no, and here's the thing with Rod Decker, just to get you used to it, Jamie, for those of us in Utah, Rod Decker has a very distinct kind of voice that he's always trying to project in a kind of Christopher Walken sort of way, but always in a hard-hitting news faction, because he's Rod Decker, KUTV News.
He should have been a pro wrestling manager.
Oh, God. If you listen to that voice, you will not get it out of your head, Jamie.
Well, I understand because my broadcast professor, when I was in journalism school, he talked like that. Like, who's that, Troy McClure on The Simpsons?
Yeah.
He talked like that the whole time. It was like, I was born this way.
Yes.
And you're just like, you can't compete with that. Like,
it's like that, exactly.
I do kind of get it. I can kind of picture it in my mind. But I am going to check that out because I like murder documentaries.
Oh, this is a good one. I'd recommend it. And
bombing, I guess, is more, I don't know if it's necessarily murder, but crime documentaries.
Oh, people died. People got killed.
Okay.
So.
Yay!
I don't want to disappoint you.
It's all right. You're in New Mexico, so you've got some distance from it. So don't worry about it.
And
but now
it's time. Yeah. I was trying to work in a segue there, and It's sporting time, Tommy. Are you ready? Are you ready at the sports desk?
Only if you hit my music.
Yeah, this is a very high production value here. It's sports with Tommy Milagro. Go team!
From the sports desk of the TV10 podcast, we deliver to you only the sport of professional wrestling, now with books. Maybe. I don't know.
Bet you didn't know about books in wrestling.
Well, we've got a lot of things that are more than just books here, because let's face it, thankfully with my MBA, writing for SlamWrestling.net.
Drink.
We have got a lot to cover right now, and let's start off right now as we're recording live on air. AEW, All Elite Wrestling, is at the moment holding their pay-per-view Revolution, which last time I checked was still at Daly's Place out in Jacksonville, Florida, because Florida.
Florida going to Florida.
And the main event is going to be a big one where Kenny Omega is going to face up against, using Justin Roberts' voice, Jon Moxley in a exploding barbed wire ring death match.
Oh, wait, and hold up. Exploding barbed wire?
Got some questions.
Yes, exploding barbed wire death match. And
okay.
And this is the part that kills me. Kenny Omega, as you can find on our news and rumors section at SlamWrestling.net, the rules, this kills me, 3 sides of the ring ropes wrapped in barbed wire, contact with barbed wire triggers explosives on corresponding side, and then there's what he calls a triple hell. That's 3 zones on the floor wired to explosives. And then there'll be a 30-minute countdown timer until all explosives in and around the ring detonate. Now, obviously, you're paying attention to something more important, which is this podcast, but you can go on to the Bleacher Report and subscribe to that pay-per-view, which is only $49.99.
Not a sponsor.
Drink up. I don't know why this feature is not sponsored as much, Jamie. I couldn't tell you. But let's move on now to WWE, specifically NXT, where they were having some great Wednesday night wars against AEW. Not anymore. They're going to be moving to Tuesdays because, something about their ratings keep dipping when they go up against AEW. I don't know. But, that's going to be happening. It looks like, I don't have it in front of me, but I think they're going to be scheduling that sometime, I believe, after WrestleMania or after their next TakeOver pay-per-view, which will be coming up sometime in April. Which, again, WWE, they are holding WrestleMania in Tampa Bay, Take 2, this time 25% attendance. So,
sure, all right.
Yay, super spreader!
But they're also doing the Pirates theme again.
They're are they?
They're repurposing. It's a little different. It's
a
little different, but like even my son and I are watching. He's like, "Oh, I guess they're going to do Pirates again." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I should have noticed that. You're 10, like just."
10-year-old's definitely going to notice Pirates.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Hemmings now with more special reports from WrestleMania. Take it away, Jamie.
Well, I'm not from WrestleMania, but as the book editor, I had a really great book that I got to read, and it's definitely in the running for one of my favorite books of 2021. And it is called A Diva Was a Female Version of a Wrestler and Abbreviated Her Story of World Wrestling Entertainment. And that's by Scarlett Harris. And I first became aware of Scarlett when I read there was an anthology called Women Love Wrestling, and she contributed a story to that, and that book is edited by Jason North. She's just, I savor what comes out of her brain, and I love following her on Twitter. I don't always agree with everything, but she makes you think. And she's just sharp and fearless and bold and blunt, and she gives kind of an overview of how women have been portrayed in the WWE. And as I'm sure as you guys are aware, they don't always the women don't always get a great treatment in WWE. Like we're talking, she goes all the way back from the Fabulous Moolah to the origins of the problematic Diva moniker, and of course the women's evolution, where in the story I say the WWE like to pat themselves on the back for that more than Barry Horowitz. So
wow.
I was impressed with that. I don't know if everybody got that line, but I used to love watching Barry Horowitz, and he even had a jacket with a handprint because he'd pat himself on the back. So.
Nice.
Yeah. I also did an interview with Harris. Along with the review, there's a video interview where we talk about how difficult it is to be a women's wrestling fan. I even straight out asked her, why are we still fans? We didn't quite have a answer, but we keep hoping things are going to get better. We also talked about speaking out and what a real women's revolution in the WWE would look like. So that's kind of what I got. Yeah.
All right. We may have to plug that on our various interweb browsers here at TV10 Podcast. I would definitely love for everyone to really see that because, here at TV10 Podcast, we're feminist as fuck. So,
which is awesome.
Well, we try to be, but we definitely try, especially Mr. Frost over there, who fronts bands in Magda Vega and Dead Zephyrs, both female-led at this point. Will they be female-led again in the near future, Mr. Frost?
No one died, if that's what you're thinking. Yeah.
Thank God. That's the important thing.
No, I predict both of those bands will be playing somewhere before the end of the year. Maybe for people even.
Maybe for people even.
Who knows?
That is the most important thing here.
I mean, back in the before times, we couldn't blame a pandemic for a slow night at the bar. But now all we got to do is say, "Hey, man, not our fault."
Yep. And there's just two more things, kind of to add to the feminist theme, and why again, especially we at the sports desk here are feminist as fuck.
That's going to be mine. I'm stealing that.
That's actually going to be the title of our podcast. Now that I'm thinking about it,
that's a great title.
Oh well, then you'll love this story here. You better drink for this one, Jamie. Seriously, when I say the following. Tony Khan pulls AEW stars from charity event involving Joey Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, would you care to explain the joy that is Joey Ryan?
Well, his name was brought up in the speaking out movement. Surprise, surprise. There's a lot of allegations against him.
Hash Brown speaking out, ladies and gentlemen. Continue.
I don't know a lot about his history, but, there was allegations of rape. There's allegations of abuse. He used to team with Candice LeRae. They were the world's cutest tag team. I'm getting that correct?
You are correct.
And
Candice
she even
LeRae
tweeted out that she was upset about this and she didn't know. And even the Scarlett Harris, who I interviewed, the book I just told you about, she got to actually meet him she was doing some work for an Australian wrestling promotion because Scarlett's from Melbourne, Australia. And she knew him and never had any, nothing bad ever happened, but she did a chapter in the book on intergender wrestling and originally had planned to have a quote from Joey Ryan in the book, but with all this happening, decided not to have that in there.
Right. Now, when this story broke, and this is from another website, this was from WrestleTalk.com here. Now, according to this story, a Twitter account known as Wrestling for Women's Charity tweeted information, this was 5 days ago, tweeted information today regarding an upcoming charity event. It was pointed out that Joey Ryan was on the promotion poster used, sparking outrage online. AEW President and CEO Tony Khan responded to the tweet saying if Ryan was there, he would pull any scheduled AEW stars from appearing. Brian Cage and Sonny Kiss were also featured on the poster. Now, the show had several other big names advertised to appear. Among them were former WWE stars Molly Holly, Rhino, Chris Masters, Davey Boy Smith Jr., JTG, and Too Cold Scorpio. And Joey Ryan, he was once a recurring cast member of Being the Elite prior to the launch of AEW, but lately he has become a bit of a pariah in pro wrestling. Now, when Tony Khan tweeted this, he also said, if Joey Ryan is there, my people won't be there. I'll gladly donate to the charity, though. So, that is
I think that's cool. That's a very gentlemanly thing to do.
Well, and here's the latest update. Since the
maybe
story
I spoke
broke.
too soon.
No, not a bad thing.
Okay.
The event has now been canceled. So,
yeah.
That's probably the right thing to do in light of all this. And finally this, unless, Jamie, do you have any other stories that our listeners should be paying attention to in wrestling circles.
The only thing I wanted to mention is if you're a fan of Dark Side of the Ring on Vice, I think they're doing kind of an expanded episode starting next week. They're starting with a Gino Hernandez episode. I don't know exactly what the format's going to look like, but I think it's called Confidential, and I don't know if they're showing clips they didn't show before, or if they're I think it's kind of a combination of showing clips that haven't been shown and also kind of revisiting it and talking about it, because, like some people, like some episodes they've had, like the Road Warriors, Animal is no longer with us and things like that. So I think it's going to be interesting for them to revisit. I don't know exactly what the format's going to look like, but that starts, I believe, on the 9th. I know it's next week. So
Okay.
if you're a fan of Dark Side of the Ring, you might want to check that out.
Yeah, that's on Vice on Tuesday, March 9th.
Yes, yeah.
And actually, there's actually two stories I'm going to bring. Well, three stories I'm going to bring up. So, as we are live on air, I will have a column coming up. It's part of my Squared Circle Cinema and Shots, where this is part 2 of my 4-part series of the 4 pillars of film. The second one being Dave Bautista. I'm going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into his work from The Man with the Iron Fist, Heist, and oh yes, a third film that I feel like everyone will recognize if you get your awesome mixtape Volume 2 keyed up there. As well as I'm doing recaps for Major League Wrestling for SlamWrestling.net, where my expanded vocabulary, thank God for my MBA, will enlighten everyone.
I'm just going to finish this.
But finally this. Now, we sometimes explore other things that not necessarily involve pro wrestling, but they kind of do. Conor McGregor, that's right, that Conor McGregor. And
The guy who should not voice his own commercials.
Nor should he ever be involved in whiskey. Our long Scotch nightmare is over. Conor McGregor bought out of Proper 12 Whiskey Company.
Proper number 12.
Yeah. And according to a news release, this is the best part, and you can't make this shit up. According to BloodyElbow.com.
Wait.
That's a great website.
Wow.
Oh, once again, let me repeat. According to BloodyElbow.com, according to a news release, Mexican beverage company Becle, that's Becle, best known for its Jose Cuervo tequila products, has fully acquired the Proper 12 whiskey brand from Conor McGregor. And yes, folks, they are truly not a sponsor of this podcast.
Not a sponsor. Yeah, I want my Irish whiskey from Mexico. That's glad to hear.
But yeah, and Becle has partnered with EBS to get Proper 12 off the ground in exchange for a 20% stake of the brand. Becle included their ownership stake in the company to 49% last year per MMA Mania. Oh my God!
This sounds like a plot. This sounds like an old plot line from Entourage. Like
it really does.
Like when Turtle sold his tequila company.
So no matter what, just know that not only are we at the podcast just feminist as fuck, we are always fancy as fuck with any of our fine sponsors of the podcast, only because it's sports.
It's sports with Tommy Milagro. Go team.
And thank you for your contributions, Jamie. We don't get a lot of additions to our sports desk from time to time.
I wish I had my own theme like you do. That's very fancy.
Well, you know how it happened? It's because our podfather, Ice-T, with his Final Level podcast.
R.I.P.
Yes. Well, to be clear, R.I.P. the Final Level podcast, not R.I.P.
Yes.
Ice-T is just fine.
Ice-T is still with us.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes he would get into things like, and that's games, or, and that's sports, but it's always something they called sports, like basketball or something else. I don't care. But, and I just said, it's time for the sport of pro wrestling to be truly recognized here.
Yes.
The one true sport.
Yes.
Yes.
And the sports desk theme cost just a little over $1 million to produce, so we're getting our money's worth out of it. Yeah, and we're at the part of the program where we're going to recommend something or anything that people should be watching on their TVs, or maybe even reading, if you have any more book recommendations in it for you. So anything you would. Jamie, anything you would recommend people watch that maybe they've overlooked or not aware of?
Well, one thing I wanted to recommend, because you guys mentioned Joan Rivers on your show, that
yes.
She had a talk show a few episodes back. I'm a huge Joan Rivers fan, and I would really recommend people Google this episode. She had Gwar, the crazy band Gwar, on her show.
Okay.
And it's worth a watch.
I think I saw that. She
describes them as, it's awesome. She describes them as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on LSD, but she's such a good sport, and I love that I'm not a Gwar fan, I don't really have an opinion of them, I don't know if I'd want to go to that show, just not really quite my thing, but she had them on the show, and she was a good sport, and at one point she goes, "How far are you guys willing to go in your act?" To which they responded, "Cleveland."
That must have been
get out the Google, folks.
Must have been good old Gwar lead singer Odorous Arungus. He was.
Yes, I didn't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah,
I was reading it over and over, and I'm like, I'm going to butcher
that. He was always quick. He was always quick with a quip. For years. Yeah. For years, he also appeared on as a commentator on Fox News late night. In full headgear.
No way.
Oh yeah. It was weird.
I didn't know that. Well, I know he did a tattoo I do the Figure Gore podcast, and one of our co-hosts is Madman Pondo, and if people don't know, he's very well known in the death matches wrestling field, and he got a tattoo from the lead singer.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. So thank you for taking us down the Gwar hole. Odorous Humongous. Oh yeah, that's our next title here. I'm going down the Gwar hole.
Oh.
Yeah. If you search Joan Rivers Gwar in YouTube, it's the first hit. Gwar meets Joan Rivers, 1990.
Yes, 1990. Yeah.
Oh, this is beautiful. Apparently, Gwar also appeared on Jerry Springer. Got some clips here too.
That makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
That just seems to fit.
And if you keep,
that's on brand.
If you keep scrolling down in this search, you'll see on Red Eye, which was the very 3 a.m. Fox News show. It was just weird, and he would appear pretty frequently in full gear and makeup.
It is beautiful.
Yeah. So, Tommy, what are you watching that people should be aware of?
Well, as of right now, I am still going into Superman and Lois, and it's like Riverdale meets Smallville, literally and figuratively.
Just a lot less sexy.
Yeah, and more importantly, no mentions of the Montreal Mafia here. So
bringing in that maple syrup from up north.
I can hook you guys up. I think I'm heading back to Canada this summer, so.
Oh, okay.
Have a hookup. Yeah.
All right. I'm definitely going to take you up on that, as well as we're going to get some barter going with our other sponsors here in a bit. Another thing I am going to highly recommend everybody start watching, and now would be a good time to do it. WandaVision. It's now over. You can see them all on Disney Plus, so you have no excuse. And I honestly, if this is going to be their way they're going to do TV correctly, then this is the best way to do it. And when I say correctly, does anybody remember Inhumans? No? No one? I rest my case.
Yeah. My recommendation, this is my recommendation every week, whether I mention it or not. Resident Alien on the Sci-Fi Channel. Alan Tudyk is killing it as an alien among us that no one can tell except for one kid in this small town in Colorado. Only he can see the alien, and Alan Tudyk is just fantastic as as a otherworldly being, trying to be human, but not quite nailing it, and it's hilarious. And I'm also going to recommend, here it comes, Tommy. I'm going to recommend my column in this month's Slug Magazine, the March issue, slugmag.com.
You do a column, sir?
Yeah, I don't even have an MBA.
Well, that's okay. That's great that you keep on trying.
Keep on trying. Which one of us is the professional writer?
Yeah, I concede at this point.
I don't have an MBA either.
And in slugmag.com or billfrost.tv, whichever way you find it, it is about 11 comedies from yesteryear, meaning 10 to 20 years ago, that you can watch on the Paramount Plus streaming service, the newly rebranded CBS All Access. It is now Paramount Plus because you got to have a plus on everything. And you can go back there and find comedies like Another Period from Ricky Lindholm and Natasha Leggero, very funny. Most of these are from Comedy Central. Corporate, all 3 seasons are there. Review with Andy Daly is another one I'd recommend. And also, there's one in here. There's a couple. We go all the way back to the 90s. The State, 4 seasons of The State. That brought us a lot of comedy people who are just all over comedy now. Also,
Michael Ian Blackton is the big name right there, and I want to say, what's his name? Michael Showalter was on there.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, and a lot of people on there. Kerry Kenny, also all 5 seasons of Daria you can find on Paramount Plus. Love Daria.
You're kidding.
And
that's the only show I've heard of. I watch a lot of dark stuff. I don't watch a lot of comedy, so that's like the only one I've heard of.
Well, some of these are a little dark. Before
we go on any further there, can we just get this out of the way? We got to get Jamie hooked up on Winona Earp, which, strangely enough, is from your home country.
I know, you're going to get my passport taken away. You kept asking me. We chatted before the show. He's like, "You watched this? It's Canadian." No. So I'm going to get my passport taken away. I haven't watched Letterkenny, although my husband's a big fan of Letterkenny.
Okay. Love Letterkenny. And one of these is actually a CBS series from this aired a few months before the 2016 election. It's called Brain Dead. It's actually on CBS, and not a lot of people saw it. It's a political satire about the brains of D.C. congressmen and staffers are being controlled by alien bugs. And this was like months before the 2016 election. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a star, but it also got Tony Shalhoub as the first congressman who gets an alien bug in his brain, and things just get fucked up from there. It's really dark and funny. I'd recommend it. So
I think I'd like that one.
It's just one season, about 12 or 13 episodes, and they never made another one. So if you have the Paramount Plus, that's pretty much the only place you can find it. And
what was the name of that show again?
Brain Dead.
Brain Dead. Okay.
Yeah. And that's going to be it. So
am I allowed to add one more show?
Go right ahead.
Okay. This is one I love. I'm a horror fan, and I love the Shudder streaming service.
Yes.
And the Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs, Season 3 is going to be returning on April 16th.
Cool.
So if people don't know who Joe Bob Briggs is, he is more than just a horror host. He does 2 movies in each episode, and you don't just get the films, he's a walking movie encyclopedia, especially drive-in-esque movies. And some of the movies he's already shown on Season 2 and Season 1 are like Hellraiser 2, Chopping Mall, Blood-Sucking Freaks, which is he had Chris Jericho on the show for that one. Chris Jericho loves that movie. I don't know why I don't like that movie, but Chris Jericho was a big fan. And Scare Package, so things like that. So if you're into horror, that's going to be starting April 16th, Season 3 on Shudder.
Joe Bob.
Oh.
Yeah, we've talked about Joe Bob before.
Okay, good.
I did not know the new season was coming up so quickly. Cool. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually we have our other special guest, Melissa Merlot, letting us know about this, plus reality shows that we're missing.
That we won't watch.
I don't watch reality shows either.
That's okay. We have our reality show correspondent, so you're good. Yeah. You're our book correspondent at this point.
Yeah. So everybody, plug their stuff.
Jamie, as you are the guest here.
So you want to know where to find me and things like that? Is that what you're asking of me? Sure. So, of course, slamwrestling.net. And I don't do all the book stories because there's way too many books, but there is a book section there. My interview and my review story on Scarlett Harris's book, A Diva Was a Female Version of a Wrestler, is up there right now. You can also follow me on Twitter at Jamie Hemmings, and then the number 1. Jamie is spelled Jamie, because that's how my dad spelled it. I didn't really have a say. I was a baby. And, yeah, you can and also on slamwrestling.net, if you look at any of my stories, my email address is at the bottom. It's jamie.hemmings.8@gmail.com.
And for myself, as mentioned before, Square Circle Cinema and Shots will be coming up this week. We will be reviewing the evolution of the acting animal, that is David Bautista.
I like how you put the animal in there. That was clever.
David Hillhouse mentioned that. Yeah, I like that title too, Tommy. So obviously that's going to work. But yeah, that's going to be coming up, as well as the Major League Wrestling recap. Give it that much love as well. And all that is on slamwrestling.net. Don't worry. Anybody can do this, even people with an MBA, ladies and gentlemen.
Drink.
So, and
loaded at the end of this.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole point. Did I not prep?
I'm catching on. I'm a little slow.
Well, that's
my first time doing the show. Forgive me.
And you can find all my stuff for Slug Mag, the Coachella Valley Independent, the Spokane Inlander, cabletv.com, all of that. You can find that at billfrost.tv. I'm bad. I'm nationwide. It's I'm just everywhere.
Well, you're not on slamwrestling.net.
I'm everywhere but slamwrestling.net.
Well, I'm just saying, if we need to have you help out review some Young Rock episodes, just saying.
Loving Young Rock.
Ah, okay. So that might be Jamie. I'm just kind of saying this on air, and also kind of saying, maybe could be some crossover appeal. Just saying.
And,
I like the Young Rock too. I'm not sure how many seasons we're going to get of it.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like, well, how long can they drag this story out?
Yeah.
Well, these are the same questions we asked about Young Sheldon and Malcolm in the Middle, and
did we talk? Oh, back when we were doing this podcast in the '90s, when we talked about Malcolm in the Middle.
Well, don't you remember? Well, we weren't doing the podcast then. We were just doing mixtapes at the time.
Yeah, you're recording it all on cassette.
Yes.
Yes. Selling it out of the back of our Pinto hatchback in the Maverick parking lot.
Yes, exactly.
Like you do.
Anyway, everybody reach out to us if you will. TV10 Podcast at TV10 Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and the Gmail. And rate us on the things. If you find us on the things, we're on all the podcast platforms that I can think of, and probably you can too.
Yeah. And
we're even on some I don't even know what they are. Deezer.
And more importantly,
I want to hear from the Deezer listeners out there. If there are any people listening on Deezer, I'd love to hear from you.
Yes, Deezer's a thing, Jamie.
Deezer's a thing. Yeah.
And we should also thank not only our OG sponsor, Sugar House Distillery, we have to also thank our other sponsors, Outlaw Distillery, Ogden's Own Distillery, the fine purveyors, they're ready for this, Jamie, the fine purveyors of Five Wives Vodka,
That is the best name ever.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets better. Patarini Gin, Porter's Fire, it's like a whiskey liqueur, and of course they also make Porter's rye whiskey and Porter's peanut butter whiskey, and there's the Underground because Jägermeister is for punks.
Yes.
And we should also thank Bohemian Brewery, who still, thank God, is ensured that Mr. Frost has pallets and pallets of beer still chilling in the 6th basement, which you can...
I got so much of it, I shower in it like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Which, by the way, you can catch that footage in the 5th basement on the Teddy Bear Nanny Cams.
For our,
only for our Cubic Zirconia listeners, by the way.
Yes.
So. That's our premium package, by the way.
Oh, yes. Well, you got to have that. Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, if you need to really make sure you're going to be fancy as fuck while still being feminist as fuck, may I recommend in downtown Salt Lake, you stop by Boostique, say hello to Ivy, get some ginger beer, mix it up a little bit with your drink, but no matter which establishment, whether it's a distillery, a brewery, or our good friend Ivy's establishment, just wear a mask. Is that far gone a conclusion at this point? Yes, you got jabbed, but wear a mask.
And, so that's, we're at the end. Want to thank Jamie for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys. As always, though, I was expecting my alcohol palate, so I'm still waiting.
Guests of the TV10 podcast will be
Tommy, if you start driving right now, you could be there.
It's true.
Within, you could probably be there by tomorrow afternoon with a trunk full of liquor.
Chola Furiosa is listening. Chola, if we're going to go historic, we're going historic on the Fury Road, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I went Australian, but it works.
It worked,
I'm not sure what that was.
So this is where we say goodnight, America.
Yes. Good night, America. Please jiggle that handle. It's time to flush.
It's only me and my